So if you know anything about my story, I gave birth to the 18th set of pygopagus conjoined twins in the world. Exactly. That's the normal thing that I get is the what? So, of course, my husband and I got pregnant in August, and I had convinced my husband I had 2 babies in there. I've always wanted to have twins. And so, sure enough, I had convinced him, and we went into our doctor's appointment, and I was so sure the doctor would tell me there's 2 babies in there. And so I went in, and the doctor said, "Oh, hold on, my shoe." Seriously, who does that? I told you I'm not graceful. We go into this appointment, and I said, "Move that little ultrasound thing and tell me there's 2 little heartbeats." And she said, "Oh, nobody wants twins. Nobody wants twins." And I said, "Oh, but I do." And so she says, "I'll prove to you there's just 1 baby in there." And I said, "Okay." So we ran down the hall, my husband by my side, and she started to move that ultrasound wand over, and she said, "See, here's 1 little head." And my husband starts to scream, "Look, there's 2, there's 2, I told you there's 2. So sure enough, I looked at my husband and said, "Are they Siamese?" My husband hits me on the leg, and he says, "Of course they're not. They're not Siamese. Nobody has Siamese twins, Emily." So we left that appointment on cloud 9. I always wanted twins. I was going to have twins. I was having my dream. We went in about 2 weeks later to do the real ultrasound. The ultrasound tech went over my tummy and over my tummy, and sure enough, she finally left the room without saying a word. I didn't realize that 45 minutes was a long time because I've never been pregnant before. Sure enough, the doctor came back in. He went over my tummy, and he finally turned everything off, and he said, "They're joined. They're joined somewhere in the lower region." I went into the why me phase. That's all I could think about. We went to the internet. What do you find? Circus freaks, sideshows, everything that you're not expecting as an expecting mom. And sure enough, I spent 2 weeks in this why me? Why? Why is this isn't my dream? And sure enough, we went over to my husband's family's home. And his little old grandma came walking up, and she said, "Oh, Emily, God must think you are very, very special. He doesn't give conjoined twins to everybody." And I realized this was my gift. And that's what we have in common. Your babies are your gifts. This organization is a gift. And as soon as I changed my mindset and realized it was a gift, that's exactly where all my heart and soul went. I'm honored to be here tonight, and I'm very, very excited for this wonderful show that's planned for you tonight. Now I lay me down to sleep. Would like to thank our VIP sponsor, White House Custom Color, for your investment, not only this year, but over the last 10 years to this organization. Yes, please do. Please do. Tonight, we will be honoring more than 30,000 babies who have been photographed by Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. We are honoring thousands of volunteers around the world over the last 10 years who have dedicated their time and talents to providing heirloom photographs of precious babies to parents during their only moments they have spent with their babies. The following video will capture the essence of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep.
It was a very, very, very somber day, and the weather was appropriately dark and snowy, and it was the worst day of my life.
You know, people who don't understand this will say, well, this is morbid, it's macabre, it's how could you do that? You talk to the families that have these pictures and you're going to get a different answer. It's really a validation for the family that that child existed. I was getting my hair cut, and the lady that was cutting my hair, I mentioned this to her, that, you know, I'm thinking about doing this, and she came around in front of that chair and pointed her finger at me. She said, you need to go do this. I lost my son 20-some years ago. They never let me see him. I would give anything to have what you're going to be able to give these families. Well, I mean, you know, so I applied the next day, and literally the next day. The best gift you can give is one that you can't be repaid, and this is one. You realize you have a skill that only our profession can deliver.
Understand that this is portraiture. The end result is not a snapshot.
We have a relatively small staff at headquarters that operates a charity that's worldwide, you know, thousands of photographers.
We've been very good at being able to express to people the value of what this gift is.
I got the call at work. We didn't know what we were in for, but we knew it was going to begin.
All right, so let me see. She will fit in there.
There were moments of toughness and moments of weakness, and I think they weren't consistent, but they were off and on.
I was terrified of it. I knew that it was something that I would want and that's something that we needed to do to make memories, but I didn't know how I felt about the actual process.
You do need to kind of read that room fast. It changes from session to session, and there's no common thread that runs through this.
Get myself a little more light.
Because it's an environment that we haven't personally experienced. Not to mention, you start realizing that you don't get a second chance at this.
You're focused on doing a job. You know, you kind of go into, some people call it the photographer mode. It's like that camera in front of your face is that it's kind of a wall there between you and what's going on.
Our photographer was just there almost, you know, I don't want to say invisible. She wasn't invisible, but she knew how to flow through the room and just do her thing.
It becomes quite a foggy cloud for them, and they have to be brought back to that moment of knowing that in fact they have a son or a daughter, and in fact they were beautiful, and in fact they have a name.
They are really what we have. Instead of having him, we have, you know, little mementos and things of his, but the pictures are him.
They're her. They're a tangible piece of her that we can hang on to and look at forever. We have our memories and we have our moments that we can kind of try to flash back to, but the pictures allow us to really go there and to really be back in those moments with her.
And I even keep one on the bathroom counter. So when I'm brushing my teeth and it's just kind of your monotonous day-to-day, it kind of takes you back and just lets you remember that child that you don't see every day.
It's really a great reward that we have just knowing that we're sending off those pictures to that family, that they've got something that they're going to treasure the rest of their lives.
Now I lay me down to sleep has given me the opportunity to remember it clearer and I guess hold on to it tighter.
And whether or not they look right away or they don't look for 3 months, 6 months, or 5 years, you don't get that chance again. So to be able to have an organization that will literally go anywhere and to anyone to give that gift is priceless.
Photographs are one of those things that stop time. Everyone takes away something different.
I had a headband made for her, and so that picture has that headband, and I'm holding her in just this beautiful blanket. I just think she looks so cute in it, and then that forever has held itself as what I associate with her, is that silly peacock headband that is captured in that photo that has almost become a symbol for her.
You know, our favorite one that we have a big picture of in our hallway, he just looks so beautiful. You know, he's just our baby in that picture, and when I think of him in my mind, that's the picture that I see.
And it just makes it almost feel like it's gonna be okay, and it gives people hope to know that, you know, you're allowed to love that baby just as much as your other babies, and here's proof.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Haggard.
And I'm Sandy Putsch, and we're the founders of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep.
Our Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep volunteer photographers donate over $5 million worth of photography services each year to our families who are experiencing the death of a baby.
Although the organization has grown across the world, we have such a tremendous need for more photographers. If you'd like to find more information on how to join Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep or how to make a donation, you can go to nowilaymedowntosleep.org.
By partnering with Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, you are helping families create these precious memories of their babies that will last for generations to come.
It is my honor to now introduce to you the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep co-founder, Cheryl Haggard. In the midst of her worst days of Cheryl's life, while her son Maddox laid in the NICU attached to the life support, she had a thought to create a priceless memories of her son. Cheryl knew she wanted heirloom portraits of Maddox that she could hang on the walls along the side of her other children photographs. Here to tell you about the beginnings of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, I would like for you to welcome Cheryl Haggard.
Thank you. Wow. I am so overwhelmed by looking at everybody in this audience, and I thank you all for coming and being a part of this evening. And I didn't want to cry tonight. Natalie kept saying, "You're going to cry, Mom, you're going to cry." So, okay, I hope we got it out of the way. 10 years ago, I gave birth to one of the greatest loves of my life, and that was my fourth child, my second son, Maddox Achilles Haggard. Unbeknownst to my husband, Michael, and myself, he was born with a condition called myotubular myopathy, which prevented him from moving or breathing on his own. We spent our days in the NICU at Presbyterian St. Luke's Hospital with questions that never had any answers. For Christmas of that year, I had got my first digital camera, and I was so excited to record and photograph our joyous occasion giving birth to our child. But every time I looked through the viewfinder, my eyes were blurred with tears. And on the 6th day of his young life, my husband and I had to make that decision that no parent should ever have to make, and that was to remove our son from the tubes and wires that had sustained his life. I knew I wanted my son's photograph to hang in our home alongside the other images of my older children's. He deserved that space on our wall. As I played back the images from my own digital camera, all I could see was the pain and the heartache, the tear-stained eyes and the swollen eyes and tear-stained cheeks, I could not proudly share these photographs, much less hang them in my home. And it was then, at that moment, that Mike and I both looked at each other and said we wanted professional photographs. We had sought out a photographer whose images were displayed in the labor and delivery ward and all through the NICU. And these images were mostly in black and white and sepia tones. And these images were just so sensitive and so beautiful, especially the ones in the NICU. babies that were connected to tubes and wires, and small preemie babies that were, in their enclosed incubators. I'm not sure if you call them incubators, but they were just beautiful. And my husband found that photographer's name and phone number and called her up. He asked if she could be available for us that evening. And the receptionist told him no, she's not available, but she could book us in 2 days from that night. And my husband said, "I'm sorry, but that will be too late." And something in his voice prompted her to keep him on the phone while she went to find the photographer and kind of explain the situation to her. And it was at that moment that Sandy Pooch, who is my co-founder, rearranged her schedule that evening to be available to my husband and myself. And it was just a few months ago, that I found out that Sandy had tickets to a play that she was going to take her younger daughter to. And for her to rearrange that personal time, still to this day, I know a lot of photographers in here, they do that, and they rearrange their time and their schedules to accommodate these families that are experiencing this loss, and it means so much to me. So Sandy was there that evening for us. When we met Sandy, my husband explained to her what was happening with our son. It was important for us to have the images of Maddox while he was still connected to the tubes and wires. That is how we knew him for those first 6 days. But he said to Sandy, "My wife has a request. She'd like something more. She'd like to have more of those Madonna-style portraits where it's just the mother cradling her baby in a more intimate pose. And the only way we were going to be able to do that was after my son had already died. And he asked her if she would wait while he passed away and come back in and do the photographs with us. And she said yes. Mike and I left the hospital that night, empty-handed and brokenhearted. But I knew in my heart that I would see my son again through those photographs, and that right there gave me hope. A few weeks later, Sandy called me and told me she had photographed another baby. This was a client of hers, and it was her client's sister. She wasn't able to photograph baby Daniel in the poses that I had had with my son Maddox. Daniel wasn't able to be moved. He wasn't able to be held by his parents. So the images she has of him with his mom and dad are basically the parents leaning into the isolette and kissing his forehead, kissing his cheek, holding his hands, holding his feet. Sandy called me and asked if she could give this mom my phone number. And it is then that I met Charlene, and we had lunch, and we shared photographs of our babies. We shared our stories, and I asked her if she would she have wanted to have those photographs where she was able to hold him a little more intimately after he had passed. And she said yes. And I think the reason Sandy kind of gave, Charlene my number was one, we're the only two women that she had met that she had photographed that had lost their babies. But as a photographer, how could you say to that mom and that dad, "Hey, I'll come back after your baby's died and we'll do more photographs"? You can't, and you don't. So it was then that question of what if came to my mind. What if I could share my story with other families and let them know that it was okay to create these memories? What if it was, let them know that even after your child passed, you could still cradle your child. The bond between parent and child is not broken. There's such a strong bond there. And then what if Sandy could be the photographer that could create those photographs for the families? So Charlene, because of us meeting and baby Daniel, could you stand up? This is baby Daniel's mom, Charlene. So really, because of our meeting, that is really when the idea of Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep came to mind, and we have to thank you for that. So. That night in the hospital with Michael and myself and Maddox, Sandy was not the only photographer there. She had brought several of her assistants. I believe there were, like 5 women in the room that night? And I want to publicly thank them for being there. And I'm saddened that they couldn't be here with us tonight to receive the 2015 Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep Founders Award. But her name, these photographers have photographed countless families in Colorado, in Denver area that first year. It was basically really just the 5 photographers. And I'd like to thank Erin Jepson, Helen Noakes, Chantel Rader for their beautiful hearts and dedication to the families and to this organization. And Sandy had a partner at the time. His name is Dave Junion. He lives in Wisconsin. He was the one that Sandy sent all of Maddox's images to, and he put together the slideshow for us, and he was the one that picked out the song Return to Pooh Corner. So Maddox is represented by a Pooh Bear. I have several of them in my home. I slept with one for probably the first 2 years tucked under my belly, and I have him to thank for every time I hear that song Return to Pooh Corner to just bring me to my knees in tears most times. So thank you, Dave. Damn you, Dave. It seemed like everyone in my life at that time Maddox died had something to do with Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep. And I had a friend, her name is Kara Osberg, and our daughters went to school together. And I remember she'd helped me, talk to me a lot after Maddox died. And I remember she told me she was going on a mission trip to Mexico and they were going to go work with an orphanage. And I knew then that I wanted to donate all of Maddox's baby items that I could not use to that orphanage in Mexico. And I told her I had an idea, and I wanted to talk to her when she got back from Mexico about my idea, and she wouldn't have that. She's like, tell me now, I want to know. So I remember we're in Maddox's bedroom, cleaning it out, and loading her car up, and it was such a bittersweet day. And I told her about Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep and my idea. And Peter, I don't know if you know this, but right away she's like, my husband's going to do your website. He's going to develop it, and we're not going to charge you for it. And so it is with great honor that I would like to introduce to you 2 men that built that website, developed it, hosted it for free for the first 2 years, and that is Peter Osberg and Mark Noraki. And I'd like to present them tonight with the 2015 Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep Founders Award. You don't know the countless hours that I would sit, sometimes on the phone with Peter, at my house with Mark, and they developed the maps that the families were able to click on, find the photographers in their states. They allowed us to bring Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep basically almost overnight to the world, where the families had a place to go, where they can learn about us, learn about our mission, and find those photographers. And I know the maps were tedious, and they were ongoing, and uploading them was, you know, a lot. So thank you guys again. I so appreciate it. For 2 years, Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep was headquartered in Maddox's bedroom in Evergreen, Colorado, and out of Sandy's studio in Littleton, Colorado. I met Erica and Tom through the loss of their son, Matthew. Baby Matthew was the first official session for Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep in the Colorado area, and this was right after Mother's Day in 2005. Erica and I became very close friends, and like myself, she wanted to do something to honor her son. And what better way than to have her drive from Broomfield, Colorado to Evergreen, Colorado, sometimes twice a week, to upload the photographer's information into the website, do all the changes. Sometimes I bought her lunch. So Erica, where are you tonight? Stand up. I would like to present Erica with the 2015 Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep Founders Award. It's a long drive. Another person I'd like to honor tonight who can't be with us is Kirk Keefe. He basically single-handedly built our forum, which basically now Facebook has really taken the place of the forums. They've become kind of obsolete. But the forum served a dual purpose. It served one as a photographer forum for photographers to go seek support, get help, talk about their sessions, get advice, and it was just a great place for photographers to share and learn and read stories about other sessions. And again, it was just that even though it was online, it was such a community. And the photographer side of the forum is still used for that purpose. But the family side was really important. The family side allowed us as bereaved parents to share the photographs of our babies and share our stories and seek that support. And there's many times that I have heard from families that might not have participated at first on that family side of the forum, but they were just there to read the stories and know that they weren't going crazy and know that somebody else felt the same way they did. And it gave them a safe place. It was password protected, and it allowed them that security. And the internet wasn't like it was back then. I mean, again, you know, there's so much negativity out there, and it was so important to have that safe place for our families. And I think we've done that with the website and with even Facebook. We have a lot of people patrolling our Facebook that allow that safe place for families again and catch those trolls that sometimes might be out there on Facebook. So again, I'm presenting the Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep Founders Award to Kirk Keefe, and we're going to mail it to him. He has changed professions now from a photographer to a personal chef, and he loves it. I think he's gained about 50 pounds. So Kirk, I know you're not here, but thank you so very, very much. So I can't tell you the stress Sandy and I were under those first 2 years. Stress in our personal relationships, our family life. The day-to-day operation of Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep really took its toll on both of us and our families. And we had no office staff. It was just Sandy, myself, and Erica. And Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep was at the point of sink or swim. Then, 2007, we received a huge donation, and we'll go into that in just a little bit. But we were able to hire our first executive director with the organization. And this lady came in guns a-blazing. And she took Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep to that next level and implemented a lot of the structure we have in place now. She hired a small office staff to help her. did the first edition of the Photographer's Training Manual, the volunteer service agreements, and put a lot of policy into place that would protect us legally if ever needed. We might not have always seen eye to eye, but I am very, very grateful to her and that she taught Now He Lay Me Down to Sleep how to swim. So it is my honor to introduce Jessica Clark Rowe to receive the 2015 Now He Lay Me Down to Sleep Founders Award. Thank you, Jessica. Next, I'd like to recognize every parent in this room. So if you are a parent and you have used our services, you have experienced the loss of a baby, would you please just stand for a moment? Wow. You are the heart of this organization, and the photographers help to keep our hearts beating. And that night when I walked out of the hospital, again, brokenhearted, empty-handed, my heart still continued to beat with that hope of seeing my son again. So it's not appropriate for me to say thank you, but I am sorry we're all here. I'm sorry we all don't have our babies in our arms tonight. I'm sorry this organization is ever needed, but I thank you for sharing your babies with us and sharing your stories. And can I have every photographer in this room stand, please? You help heal this broken heart right here, and every heart in this room. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank all of you so much. Okay. The last award I'm going to give out is to an incredible woman, and her name is Gina Harris. I met Gina with our former executive director, Jessica Rowe, when Gina called the office and spoke to Jessica. And Jessica and Gina ended up knowing each other through college. Jessica and I took Gina to lunch, and we talked to her. And Sandy was Gina's photographer also with her baby, David. I don't want to go too much into detail with Gina because I think she might get up here and talk a little bit. But this woman is amazing. And when we were seeking another executive director, she had messaged me and said she'd seen our ad. And I'm like, oh, do you want to apply? I'm like, I think we just hired somebody. And she's like, no, that's okay. I'm really not looking right now. She comes from an organization called Friends First. And I was like, okay, well, send me your resume and I'll keep it on file. And that hire fell through. And I remember, I think it was Cliff I was talking to, and maybe Ron, and messaged the whole board of directors. I was like, we need to look at her. I really, really, really want her. And several conversations later, we got her. She didn't want to leave where she was at. And again, I'll say we got her. And she's incredible. She has taken this organization to the place that I always thought it would go, where we have the parent community, the parent involvement, the photographers, the medical personnel. It's just come to a whole new level with her being in charge as the executive director. And I think we call her the CEO now. Is that right? We changed her name. So I'd like to present Gina with a special award. And Gina, this award comes from your staff. And they love you, and they think so highly of you. And this is the Award of Excellence. So. You're going to stay. Yep. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce to you Gina Harris, our executive director with Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep. Thank you.
Okay, I have a lot of people I used to work with at Friends First there. See, I really didn't want to leave. They reeled me in here, and 8 years ago, I would have never thought I would have been in a room like this. My husband and I were pregnant with our first baby, and we were so excited to be having a boy. But then we learned that he did not have kidneys. And I had never known of anyone really who had lost a baby. But at that point, many people came into my life that had shared with me their stories. We were fortunate to receive photographs of our son David from Sandy, our other co-founder. Those photographs are the most precious and prized possession that Rob and I have. And while I know there's a lot of tears shed tonight and through that video, and I can hear the tears, I can look almost 8 years later at David and have joy in my heart to see that I have that. And if I had to do it all over again, knowing the outcome, I still would, because David's my son. And then we have our son Ethan, and this is the only photograph that we have of him. His ultrasound photograph. He had a condition that was pretty severe, and we were not able to receive those photographs. Not having the photographs of Ethan it made it more difficult for Rob and I to really heal from that. And I'm so thankful to every single one of the photographers in here and those who also volunteer, who make this happen. And I'm so thankful for the many friendships I have built among our volunteers, but also among these wonderful parents in here who unfortunately have walked the same road that Rob and I have. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Of course, I want David and Ethan here. I want our miracle baby boy that we were told we couldn't have, RJ, to know his big brothers. I want that, but I would never change what I went through either. It made me stronger. And so I want to thank the people who have made Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep happen. And I always have said our volunteers have one of the most difficult volunteer jobs on the planet. To go into a room and photograph the only moments parents are spending with their babies is just, I just can't comprehend that there's so many thousands of photographers who are willing to do that. And there's people behind the scenes as well that are not doing the photography that make this happen. And so I would like anyone who's currently on the board or formerly on the board to please stand, our board of directors. We have an amazing board of directors that care about this organization, that they're volunteering in very meaningful ways beyond making visionary decisions for the organization. And I love each and every one of you. You're so amazing. And so I'm so very blessed to have you as our board. We have two individuals who have come all the way from Ireland, and I would like our Ireland country coordinators, Louise Brooks and Louise Kennedy Byrne, to please stand, or Lisa Kennedy Byrne to please stand. Please stand up. They came all the way from Ireland. Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep has been present in over 40 countries around the world. And it's because of wonderful women like them that it's happening, and we're able to offer this beyond the United States. Last year, we implemented regional coordinators, and these are those higher level volunteers to help us out at headquarters, because we have thousands of photographers, we have 250 area coordinators, so we needed some people to help us out. And we have a dynamic team with our regional coordinators. If you could please stand up, regional coordinators. We have Vicki Zoller, Jennifer Denton, Sharon Nord, Rhonda Gaiman. Thank you. And Desiree Jones behind the camera. See, they don't just stick to one job. This next group of people, when they stand up, just multiply this by 8,000, because this is the amount of people who volunteer as photographers, digital retouch artists, dispatchers, and community volunteers. Can you please stand up? Any of our photographers, digital retouch artists, dispatchers. Come on, camp, our brand new dispatcher in Denver. Thank you for your dedication, and thank you for being here to represent all of our volunteers around the world. We have added a new element to Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep in Colorado. This amazing organization named Walk to Remember came to us and joined our family at Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. And right now it's only offered in Colorado. But we had a walk with over 1,600 people that came, and they were primarily parents and family members of our precious babies. And so we also have care packages, and these are these beautiful boxes. If you didn't see them out there, they're these beautiful care packages that parents receive at the hospital so they can create memories with their baby while they're there. And we have these amazing volunteers, but I want several of you to stand up. So it's going to be anyone who was on the Walk to Remember board of directors, anyone who was part of care packages in the past, our current care package committee, our current walk committee, or if you volunteered at the walk, if you could please stand up. You did too. And that's the element that Cheryl was talking about, being able to get our parents more involved in this organization. I have an amazing staff, and I think they're in here. Maybe they're out busy, but if you are on our staff and Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, please stand up. I don't know if they're in here. They're all gone. They're absolutely amazing. Tiffany! She's on social media. But I'm very thankful for my staff because we just moved into a new office, and it has this jail in there, and they haven't put me in it yet. So I think they might like me. You'd have to go there to see what I'm talking about. But thank you to the staff and all of the work that you do for this organization. Yes, they are staff, but they put in countless hours above and beyond what they're paid by this organization. They truly care about this organization, and I'm very blessed to have them. I would like to also have anyone who is an office volunteer stand up. I don't know if there's many in here because they might. I look at our office volunteers as extensions of our staff, and we have several young ladies and a young high school boy who comes in and they volunteer on a weekly basis, and we could not get our work done without them. And that also, several of them were on our gala steering committee. So if you were on the steering committee, and you might not be in here either, I do want to say your names. Anyone on the committee here? No, they're busy working. But first of all, my cousin, Terry Fisher, she's with 5-Star Talent and Entertainment. So I'm so very blessed to have her to be part of this. She knows everything about putting these galas together, and I don't think she's in here. But then Kim Smith, Kimberly Russell, Elaine Pereira, Kate Suick, Caitlin Preston, Denise O'Malley, Davis Lynch, Erica Ramey, and Tanya Callison. So, there's Terry. There's my cousin. I just said your name. And several of you came up to me and said, great job in this gala. This is wonderful. I really have no clue what's going on. People would ask me about registration. All I knew is Cheryl needed a chair, and I carried it in. That's about all I did. So we couldn't have done this without the staff, without the office volunteers, and without our gala steering committee. So thank you very much. And there are two individuals that I would like to recognize, and they're the reason why this organization started. First is Sandy Putsch. She obviously, you heard the story with Cheryl. She was also the photographer for my son David, and she unfortunately wasn't able to be here tonight. But Sandy is really the reason why we have so many photographers. She's very well known in the photography industry, and I think she's just one of those people that when she says, you should sign up for Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, they just do it. She has such amazing energy and drive and vision. She is a genius at marketing as well, and I'm so appreciative for what she's done for this organization, and I'm personally appreciative to Sandy for being there. She took maternity photographs of my husband and me with, well, my husband wasn't pregnant, but my husband and me, sorry, with David, and was there that night in the hospital room, and was one of the few people who saw our son David. So we do have an award here for her, and I just want to make sure we all recognize her. We are recording this, and she has put in countless hours, and Cheryl alluded to the fact that as founders, they put in a lot of time at the beginning, but they still do, and it's a difficult job. Neither one of them have ever been paid by the organization. They have done this 100% volunteer. And so I'd like to thank Sandy Putsch. Cheryl. And I'd also like to recognize Cheryl because of her and her idea, just that thought in her head that she wanted images of her son Maddox, I would have never thought of photographing David. And even when I first heard about Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, I wasn't sure if it was something I would do. And I can speak for over 30,000 families who probably wouldn't have thought the same thing. Or if they did, they would have had some color image on some crappy digital camera that's pixely. They wouldn't have these beautiful heirloom portraits. I've really been able to get to know Cheryl over these past 3.5 years now, and I truly think of you like a sister. I told your family that earlier. She just has such heart and such passion for this organization, and I'm truly, truly blessed. And I'm so thankful for the countless hours and time and tears and emotion that you have put into this organization. We would not be here without you. So please come on up again and get your award. Thank you. And Cheryl's going to stay up here with me because now we have 3 more awards, and then we're moving on to a few other things. But these are three companies that we would not be here today without them. And the first one is Professional Photographers of America. This is the biggest photography association to be part of, and they have amazing photographers, and it's because of PPA and their CEO, David Trust, and all they've done to promote Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. David has come out here personally to train our regional coordinators last year, and he's mentored me this past year as a CEO and somebody is so busy and has so much going on. I can't believe he wants to spend a little time with little bitty me, just helping me make the organization better. But tonight we'd like to present an award to Professional Photographers of America for everything you've done for Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. And I think Cheryl might want to say something.
So Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep started officially April of 2005, and an article came out in the PPA magazine in June of 2005. And like Gina said, that just with Sandy being interviewed by that magazine, our numbers just jumped that first year into other states. and in Colorado also. So because of PPA and their involvement with Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep, and they've done several articles, and they are such a huge support to us. So again, they're awesome, and thank you, PPA.
Our next award goes to Marathon Press, and this company has printed over 5 million brochures for Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep free of charge.
So again, in the early days, I'm like one of the old timers here. In the early days, we hired graphic artists. We were trying to find a logo for Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep. We always knew the name was going to be Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep. And Marathon Press, if you see all the brochures or anything that comes out with NILMDTS on it, with that little angel eye as the I in the NILMDTS, that came from Marathon at no cost to us. And that angel eye, I've got it on my wrist here with little angel wings, that has really become the symbol of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep with all of our marketing and with our parents and our photographers, and we're very protective of that angel. So thank you, Marathon.
They're here. We have Melanie and Mo from Marathon. If you could please come up and accept this award. Melanie came from Nebraska, and Mo is a representative of Colorado.
Hello. Over the past several years, I've had the opportunity to work a little bit closer with some of the staff at Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. And I don't think I need to tell anybody here how absolutely wonderful they are. What Marathon does is tiny in comparison to what all of you do. Staff, volunteers, photographers, the strength, courage, and love that you show families during their time of need is truly admirable, and it touches my heart. So on behalf of everyone at Marathon Press, I would like to say thank you to all of you for everything that you do. Thank you for the award. It's an honor to get to be here tonight. And also, most importantly, thank you for letting us be a part of it all.
And our last but not least Founders Award. I'll let Cheryl talk because she knows the beginning. But I want to say a few words. We've been working with White House Custom Color essentially almost from the beginning. But I was able to meet Mike my first few months on the job at Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. And we are so extremely grateful for White House. And they are our VIP sponsors for this 10th anniversary year. Not just this event, but it's for this year. We're very grateful for all they've done. And Cheryl will share more.
So my can line and White House Custom Color, I can't say enough good things. Again, we were at a point of sink and swim at that 2-year mark, and the stress of the organization, it was so overwhelming. And I'll never forget the call I got from Sandy one day that said we'd received a huge donation. And when I say huge, it's pretty huge. And she's like, we're going to hire an executive director. And that's what that money was for, to get us to that next level. And with that money, I did introduce to you, Jessica wrote earlier, she was the first staff that we had hired for the organization. And I don't think we would be here today without his incredible donation to Now We Lay Me Down to Sleep. And my can line, where are you? Right here. Oh. I'm just looking. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously. And Mike was a member of our board of directors also. Yeah, but he's awesome.
He's right there. I now have the privilege of introducing an amazing woman. Her name is Robin Erickson. She is the president of our board of directors, and she hails from Canada with some Texas roots. I am so incredibly blessed to know Robin. She's a dynamo. And to be able to work with someone as amazing as Robin just really touches my heart, and she's a friend and a supporter of this organization. So let's please hear from Robin Erickson.
Thank you. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I welcome everyone here tonight, our families, our donors, our volunteers, and our staff. And it is my most sincere pleasure to bring greetings from the board. I ask that you indulge me briefly while I try to explain the impact that Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep has had, not only on me, but on a lot of us here tonight. Because this is what I realized while I was writing my speech. Every story I have about Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, someone here has one that is different, but just as significant, if not more so. Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep has been a part of my life since 2007. I remember where I was and what I was doing when I read the newspaper article that was going to change my life. I didn't know it then, just like all of you here who have been touched by Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. We didn't know. We didn't know how intricately it would weave itself into our everyday lives. We didn't know that tears would be shed and hands would be held. We didn't know the sacrifices our own families would make in order to fulfill what quickly became our mission. We didn't know the privilege of being there for a family when they were at their most vulnerable and raw. We didn't know then, but we do know now. We know what it means to be given the honor of photographing a beautiful baby. A baby who will always hold the heart of the people who love them most. We know what it's like to enter a room and know we can't make this better, but what we can offer is solace through the lens of our camera. We know. To our donors, our staff, and our volunteers, I say this to you. Every single one of you has changed the world. To the families here tonight, I thank you. I thank you for giving us the honor of photographing your baby, of allowing us to be a part of your story, of letting us in and trusting us. It is something we hold very close in our hearts and with great respect. I have been asked to acknowledge the accomplishments of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep over the last 10 years. But before I do that, I would like to take a moment to thank our staff and volunteers on behalf of the board. We would like to extend a special acknowledgement to Gina Harris, our CEO. It has been our privilege to witness the hard work you have done on behalf of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. We are in awe of your time, talent, and expertise that you bring to your role, and on behalf of the board, we thank you. Did you know that more than 30,000 families have received our services? That families have been served in over 40 countries? That more than 8,000 volunteers have been active as Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep photographers? That over 1,600 people attended the first Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep Remembrance Walk in Littleton, Colorado? And that more than 1,000 care packages are delivered annually to Colorado hospitals? I am so proud of everyone who has contributed to Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep's legacy and success. And in closing, I cannot help but go to the thoughts of a baby who has changed this world for the better. and Maddox. It is because of you that we are here tonight. And always when I think of you, I am reminded that there is no footprint so small that it cannot leave an imprint on this world. Thank you.
We're just going to be doing a few more things. We were on the Today Show for the second time back in January, and I'd like for you to watch this story, and then I would like to introduce you to an incredible couple.
This morning on Hope 2 at the power of a photograph. For most people, there is no greater joy than finding out you're having a baby. But sadly, some parents find out that their precious little one is too sick and may never come home from the hospital.
Well, one nonprofit is helping grieving families begin to heal during their time of unthinkable loss, capturing the cherished last moments with their child. And what you're about to see is extremely difficult.
Baby Chase is in Mama's tummy.
For Carrie and Clay Riddell, family is everything.
We tried for Miles, our first son, for almost 2 years. And it was hard to get pregnant with him. So when we found out in May that we were pregnant with our second child, we were extremely excited.
So I think that's the back of his head.
Carrie's pregnancy seemed normal, but at their 20-week ultrasound, the doctor had trouble seeing the baby's heart. They were quickly sent to a pediatric cardiologist.
I thought that this was just to double check everything, but they did let us know at that visit that he had a severe heart condition. And the next day, we found out that he also has trisomy 18, and with that and his heart condition, he's not able to survive on his own.
It's a kick to the stomach. I mean, you're getting excited, and then it's just all of a sudden it's like slipping from your fingers.
With the devastating news, doctors gave Carrie and Clay their options.
You can terminate your pregnancy at the time of diagnosis, or you can continue on with your pregnancy because your body does help, the baby continue to grow. But we felt immediately that life is a gift, and every day and every week that we have with Chase makes us happy. And we wanted, of course, to continue on as long as we'd be able to have him.
With a desire to keep Chase's memory alive, the Riddells turned to a nonprofit called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which provides free professional portraiture to families dealing with the loss of a baby.
Just to have those pictures to see and to remember him, I think will mean a lot 10 or 20 years down the road.
Cheryl Haggard started the nonprofit after she lost her fourth child, Maddox.
He was born with a condition called myotubular myopathy, which is a protein lacking in the muscles in the body, and he was unable to move, breathe on his own.
Cheryl and her husband, Michael, made the excruciating decision to remove Maddox from life support just 6 short days after his birth.
It's a decision no parent should ever have to make. This was going to be the best thing for him and for our family. And the amazing thing is that my husband and I kind of both turned to each other, and, he said it first. He goes, I want photographs.
They called a local photographer, Sandy Putch, to capture their last moments with their son.
When I got to the hospital, I didn't know what to expect. This was something I'd never done before. I had this responsibility to capture really the essence of this little boy. I wanted to get everything.
Those tender moments later sparked the idea for Cheryl and Sandy to create Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep.
When you have just minutes or hours with a child, there's no way to remember the most important things. And we give them the ability to remember everything.
I think those photographs do bring peace, healing, and honor to the baby.
There we go, right there.
Today, Carrie, Clay, and Miles are meeting with Sandy for a maternity photo shoot.
You can make a little heart over her tummy if you don't mind.
The Riddells hope the portraits they take today will honor baby Chase for years to come.
To have an organization take these photos and understand everything about it, because this is what they do, is just the biggest gift I think a mom could ever receive.
And over the last 10 years, Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep has performed over 30,000 photo sessions to aid grieving families. The organization has now expanded to over 40 countries. And for more information on Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, you can log on to our website, today.com. We're back in a moment. This is Today on NBC.
This story aired on the Today Show in January, and there's more to the story. So tonight, I would like you to welcome Carrie and Clay Riddell to share the rest of the story.
After the diagnosis, we knew we would eventually lose Chase, but we tried to live as if we wouldn't. We wanted Chase to feel love, happiness, and be a part of our family. We were grateful for every day, every kick, and every time we were able to hear his heartbeat. This was especially true during the holidays. Having Chase with us made Thanksgiving and Christmas so special because we were together as a family. But we prayed for a miracle. We wanted Chase to survive. And as each week went by, we began to have hope that he might come home from the hospital. In the ultrasound, his heart sounded strong, and he looked perfect, just beautiful. We thought maybe the doctors could be wrong about Chase. Clay and I got the car seat ready, and I packed him clothes and did things moms do before their babies are born. At 36 weeks, we had a meeting with the hospital staff so that we could discuss our birth plan and answer some of our questions. The first question Clay asked was if there was any chance the amniocentesis could be wrong. Unfortunately, no. And as the meeting came to an end, so did the hope we had for bringing our son home. The neonatologist gently reminded us of the true severity of Chase's heart defect. I was oxygenating Chase's blood while his little heart could not. That night, we stopped praying for a miracle and started praying for time. 3 weeks later, at our 39-week appointment, Chase's heart rate had decreased, and for the first time in my pregnancy, I felt angry. I couldn't understand how God could take Chase now, after beating the odds and surviving longer than our doctors predicted. I so badly wanted Chase to be born alive, to say hello to him, to tell him how much we loved him, and to validate his existence. That week was the hardest week of our lives. His movement had slowed, and we worried constantly as we tried to decide if we should induce so that we might have the chance to meet our son. But my heart told me to hang on and leave it up to Chase and God. Almost a week later, I went into labor when Chase was ready. We were so excited to see our beautiful baby. Almost 2.5 months ago, on February 21st at 10:29 a.m., Chase was born weighing 5 pounds, 4 ounces, and measuring 18 inches long at a Vista Adventist hospital. And for 54 minutes, Chase graced us with his angelic life, granting his mom and dad the gift of time. If there is a miracle to Chase's story beyond his 54 minutes, it's that he has touched the lives of so many. During Chase's delivery, Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep was in constant contact with the nurses at the Vista Hospital, making sure that our wishes were followed, the photographer was lined up, and most importantly, truly caring how we were doing. It is the staff, photographers, volunteers, and donors, with their compassion for families like mine, that makes Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep such an extraordinary organization. Our photographer, Deb Diaspera, was so kind and gentle with baby Chase. She was patient with me when I needed to take a break and was able to capture the only time our 2-year-old son would have with his little brother. These photos hold the memories we have of Chase and proof that we had a son and his life had meaning. We were able to have a beautiful slideshow of Chase at his funeral, and although it's too soon for me to look at them often, I know the pictures of Chase are waiting for me when I'm ready. These photos are not only important to Clay and me, but mean so much to our family and friends. When they need some time to think about Chase, they too can look at his photos and remember. Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep also provides remembrance care packages to families. These care packages are assembled by volunteers, and each one is in memory of another little baby. In our care package, we received a beautiful handmade baby blanket and hat, and a small handmade matching teddy bear that we placed in Chase's arms. The keepsake box is the place we keep his locket of hair, his baby ring, the outfit he wore at the hospital, and all of our mementos of Chase. And the box top is a photo frame for his tiny footprints. The care package provided us with items that help preserve memories of our son that we would not have otherwise had. The photos and care package have helped us begin to heal and find comfort during this very difficult journey, and we want to thank the incredible community of supporters and volunteers who have helped grow this organization and give parents like ourselves a gift for which we will be forever grateful. Chase's baby picture hangs on our wall next to Miles' baby picture, our angel on earth by our angel in heaven.
So what we're going to do is we're going to actually have a moment of silence for everyone's little precious lives. We have candles placed on your table in glass jars. And I'm going to have you rise and turn your candle on by pressing the blue button on the bottom. So if somebody would grab the little glass jar and just pass it around. And as I recognize the group of individuals whose lives have been touched by a baby, I'm going to start with, we would like to have the parents who are here to honor their babies to please stand and light your candle. We would like to have the grandparents who are here to honor their grandbabies to please stand and light your candle. We would like siblings who are here to honor their brother or sister to please stand and light their candles. We would like to have all the medical professionals, nurses, doctors, or counselors who are here to honor the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep babies to please stand and light your candle. For all the other family members and friends who are here to support the parents of our Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep babies, please stand and light your candle. And now, if we can have the remainder of the guests stand and light a candle to honor all of the babies whom so many hold close to their hearts. These candles represent less than 1% of the babies Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep has photographed around the world over the last 10 years. We would now like to have a moment of silence for these babies that have brought so much love to so many. Thank you for your moment of respectful silence. If you would please have a seat. I would like to invite back to the stage the CEO and the VIP sponsor of White House Custom Color, Mike Hanlon.
Good evening. I don't really have anything prepared here. When I made my donation years ago to Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, it was really the first significant charitable thing I'd ever done. And this is my first time standing in a ballroom full of people speaking as well in this regard. Yeah, I've been in the photography business all my life, and this organization, I know each and every one of you in this room know how special this organization is. But in the world that I live in, and the mission of this group is nothing short of incredible, very, very unique, and it serves a purpose that most people don't understand until they're touched with it in one way or another. You know, I was touched by it through Sandy originally, and listening to Sandy speak maybe 100 times around the country and talk about it, and talking with Sandy and hearing about her and Cheryl and the amount of time and effort it was taking, and watching the organization explode. And so it seemed to me to be the right thing to do, and so we did it, and here we are. 10 years later, but things don't change. The need goes on. Any organization is a very dynamic organization. This particular Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep is entering its second decade, which is pretty remarkable, and it has a lot of growth to do. It has wonderful leadership from its founders, from its CEO, its staff, its volunteers, and everything it does, just not throughout North America, but around the world. So I got a couple things to say in that regard. Is you all got a program that has an envelope in it, and on that envelope there's ways that you can donate tonight. In that regard, I had a fine gentleman I just met tonight came up to me when we first got here, and that is Scott Taylor from Orlando. He's sitting right over here, right over by the desserts, and he had a check in his pocket, and he's going to match dollar for dollar the first $2,000 that is donated tonight. In that regard, and not wanting to feel left out, I'm going to do the same thing. So for every dollar you give here tonight through the pledge cards, if you buy the care package that's on the card, it's $50. They're going to match dollar for dollar the first 100 care packages that are bought this evening. Now, if I do the math right, and somebody told me once I was pretty good at math, that would be an additional $9,000 that would be pledged tonight based upon your guys' participation in our efforts here tonight in raising money. And I know every dollar, every dime of every dollar is going to be put to absolutely wonderful use and is going to be very, very, very appreciative. So any gift is not too small and any gift is not too large. Just at your pleasure, please fill the card out. You can put cash in the envelope, I understand. You can use a credit card, or you can use your bidder number. I think you got a credit card number tied to your bidder number. So with that said, it's been a extreme honor and pleasure for me to be here tonight. And yes, sir. We'll get our act together here in a second. Here's Scott.
This is a real privilege for me. I'm a photographer since 2008 in this organization. And I would like to encourage you, and that's why my match pledge tonight, I would like to encourage you to do your best to make me pay everything that I promised to pay tonight. This is an organization, as a photographer since 2008, I can't even bring the words to my mouth that say how much of a reward I've had to help families at the worst time of their life. It's a privilege for me to be here tonight. It's a privilege to be a part of this organization. I thank the parents who let us come in on the worst day of their lives to try to help them. And I encourage you to help this organization in any way you can. Thank you so much.
Bid high, bid offer.
I think you photographed how many babies? 300? 280 some and still going. So that's it. Thank you so much.
So I'm just going to quickly go back over that. On the back of your bidder number is where you can fill out your donation information. If we have your credit card on file from registration, then you do not need to put your credit card information on there. We also have blank cards on your table. So if you've misplaced your donation card and envelope, grab one of the blank ones. Please take a few minutes out and fill out the envelope and then place it in the large manila envelope that is on the center of the table. Thank you for the support to the mission of Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, a mission that has been a tremendous impact all over the world. You may pick up your auction items at the registration table. Please have your winning alert ready to show the volunteers. We would like to thank you for being a part of the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep 10th Anniversary Gala and Silent Auction. Now, let's bring our fabulous entertainment up for the night. First and foremost, a special thank you to 5-Star Talent and Entertainment for donating a portion of the proceeds for our special guests this evening. Joining us tonight are 2 performers from Dueling Pianos Roadshow. Their company was born and raised here in Colorado, and they've been bringing good times to thousands since 1998. Let's begin the fun.